Senator Pillion, we've got all of the members of the Finance Committee present. Currently, Delegate Sewell is on her phone and she's in and out of signal. She's able to hear us right now, but she's not able to speak quite yet. But I think for purposes of a quorum, we can consider her to be present. We also have, click on panels. We also have, as well as staff, we have yourself, Dr. Thomas, and Ms. Ritter as Finance Committee. And we have several other board members present, either online or in person as well.
Super. Tell me when you want me to go.
All right, sir, we're ready to begin when you are.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Todd Pillion. I'm the chairman of the OAA Board of Directors. I'll be chairing this meeting of the Finance Committee until we reach a point where in the agenda where I don't have to anymore and we elect a chair of this committee. I'd like to begin by calling this an all virtual meeting to order. In addition to myself, I'll have the executive director tell us who all is on the phone today.
Yes, sir. From the Finance Committee, we have yourself, we have Dr. Thomason, Vice Chair of the Board. We have our Treasurer, Delegate Sewell, and we have one of our newest board members also present, Mr. Ritter from Chesapeake, and she's also a new member of the Finance Committee. And so that provides us all four members of the Finance Committee. Present in the room, we have other board members, Mike Tillum, Daryl Washington, Ingrid Barber, and Tim Spencer. They're all here for the Grants Committee meeting, which will occur immediately upon the conclusion of the Finance Committee meeting.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tony. We do have a quorum then. I'd like to welcome everyone and everyone else who's joined us online. The next order of business is to receive a report from our Director of Finance, the wonderful Adam Rossatelli.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Finance Committee members. I appreciate that introduction. So I'll start with a brief overview of the tentative findings from the Auditor of Public Accounts recent audit of the OAA. So if you recall, 2.2-2372 of the Code of Virginia provides that the OAA is subject to an annual audit by the Auditor of Public Accounts. So the first of those audits recently commenced in May, and the APA conducted what's referred to as a performance audit, which includes a review of the OAA's financial and administrative processes and its IT infrastructure and security. So this initial audit wrapped up in late July, and the APA audit staff provided two letters that include some potential management recommendations that may be included in a final audit report. So to just summarize a few of the findings that they included. So they identified that many of the OAA's financial and administrative policies and procedures haven't been formally written out and memorialized as actual approved policies and procedures. And that while the OAA contracts with an IT service and security provider, we have not formally adopted an IT security standard and corresponding IT governance program. So as provided in the letter, OAA staff responded to the potential management recommendations, concurring with the APA's findings and clarifying the things we're already doing and plan to do immediately to address the recommendations. So you can see on the slide, we immediately retained strategic technology solutions to develop and implement an appropriate IT security standard and associated governance policies, and that has a target completion date of October 3rd. And then the OAA is in the process of executing a contract with an audit consulting firm to assist with addressing the audit findings that the APA identified. And then that'll have a phased approach that I'll speak to momentarily. Next slide, please.
Right here.
Oh, there we go.
No. All right.
Oh, not doing it.
Okay.
Not doing it. Sorry.
There we go.
Apologize. All right, so segueing into an overview of the OA's partnership with an external accounting and audit consultancy. So The OAA sought assistance from a firm to immediately address the management recommendations I discussed, and will expand upon that to provide some additional services that will be implemented in a phased approach. So phase one includes assisting the OAA with compiling its existing policies and procedures, followed by detailing all of their financial and administrative procedures and the supporting recommended policies into one comprehensive policies and procedures document. The plan for developing and implementing this will be an accompaniment to the OA's annual required agency risk management and internal control standards, or RMIC, submission to the Commonwealth's Department of Accounts. Phase two will expand upon this to include detailing and documenting the requirements for the OAA's external customers, the cities and counties who are required to comply with the APA's financial reporting requirements, as well as the OAA's own operational compliance requirements. And then finally, phase three will include leveraging this consultant to perform an ongoing periodic review of the OAA's finances and operations to ensure that we remain compliant with the policies and procedures that we've adopted. So this arrangement is going to ensure that the OAA immediately addresses all of the tentative findings reflected in the APA's management recommendation letter, as well as ensure that the OAA continues to comply with its own established policies and procedures and grantee reporting and operational compliance requirements. Next slide.
Adam, before you jump into the purchasing policy, just to kind of summarize on this audit that we went through. What the auditors, and they haven't issued their final report yet, they've just given us their initial findings. And I'd characterize it as saying that it's not that we're not doing any of these things. In fact, they recognize in their findings that they didn't see any example or any issues with anything that we're doing, but rather that we need to document our processes. The fact that the OAA is still very new and we hit the ground running by getting grants out, that doesn't figure into their analysis, and so this is basically a need for housekeeping, and we don't want the board to have to revisit this issue. And so the idea of bringing in a professional firm to help us document all of our practices and to do it in a way that will satisfy future audits is really not only good for the OAA from a business standpoint, but I think provides us with some protection in the future against future findings of this type. And Adam and I, in our experience in talking with other agencies, the result of this APA audit was predictable. This is typical for a newer agency.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, John. Advance to the next slide. So now I'll provide a brief overview of the new purchasing and procurement policy for the OAA. So you may recall the Code of Virginia exempts the OAA from the procurement provisions of the Virginia Public Procurement Act, which essentially allows the OAA as an organization to be more nimble and respond quickly and prudently for any procurement needs associated with its core missions of abating and remediating the opioid epidemic. So given this exemption, it's necessary for the OAA to clarify and document its procurement policies and procedures in a way that preserves the autonomy intended in the OAA's enabling legislation, but also ensures that there are prudent rules in place that govern purchasing and procurement. So the proposed policy, which will be before the full board in November, I believe, provides for the delegated authority to the executive director for the purchase of goods and services for the administrative operations of the OAA. So this does not pertain to grants or other assistance made by the OAA to cities, counties, or state agencies. And importantly, this policy follows all applicable Commonwealth purchasing requirements related to the agency's small purchase credit cards, which is how a good deal of routine goods and services are acquired. And it specifies that the procurements for larger scale goods services conducted by our third-party administrative support provider, the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services, will comply with all applicable laws of the VPPA. So that's just a brief summary of that. And if there are no questions, I can move on to the next slide. All right, so I'll conclude my report with an update on the OAA's efforts to improve its communication and public relations capabilities. So to contextualize this need, the OAA, under the board's guidance, has awarded over $111 million in grants to cities, counties, and state agencies across roughly 200 projects across the Commonwealth, which are having a tremendous impact on the individuals and communities to whom these grants serve. So given that, the OAA is endeavoring to make sure that these successes don't go unnoticed, particularly among legislators and policymakers, as well as current prospective grantees and the general public. So OAA staff has solicited proposals from 4 public relations firms to address broadly the following specific communications and PR deliverables. To develop and implement a comprehensive and cohesive public relations strategy. 2, to produce short form videos highlighting various OAA funded projects across the Commonwealth. To produce targeted digital engagement content and print materials. To manage media relations and strategic outreach initiatives, and then to redesign the OA's website with attractive and intuitive user interface that will essentially incorporate the more comprehensive, the elements of the more comprehensive communications marketing strategy that the OA hopes to employ. And yeah, Tony, you have anything to add to that?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Tony or for Adam?
There's no questions.
Okay, hearing none, the next is a report from our executive director, Tony McDowell. Is that correct, Tony?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman. So,
Excuse me, there are a couple questions in the
Oh,
chat.
okay. Sorry, Ms. Ritter, go ahead.
Mine is having to do with the grants. For those localities required to have external audits for their, I know there's a new name, the CAFRs. Are those grants subject to random checking by an external auditor? Just for accountability purposes, do we know?
Yes, ma'am. They're subject to audit, so they would be included in their annual comprehensive financial reports, and the Auditor of Public Accounts has issued local audit specifications to those cities and counties, so they're aware of their reporting requirements. So what we're proposing actually would incorporate the APA's external auditing requirements as well as our own internal guidance with respect to complying with our terms and conditions associated with the grants.
Thank you.
And there was another question from Sachs about how did we decide which PR firms to solicit?
yeah, I'll take that one. This is Tony. We spoke with a number of colleagues in the Richmond area. We wanted a firm that had a presence in Richmond. So from a legislative standpoint, government relations standpoint, we polled our network and identified several different size and capability firms and invited them to come and meet with us and to discuss what types of services that they offer. And from that, we developed a request for proposals that we then issued to all of those firms. Mr. Chairman, I don't see, we missed the questions that were in the chat, so I apologize for that. I don't see any other questions in the chat.
I don't either. So at this point, Tony, I'd say go ahead and present.
Okay, thank you. The main thing that I'd like to speak with the committee about is where we are with the foundation and with the conference for next year. And just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, the board was in favor when we met late last year. The board was in favor of supporting a separate effort for a nonprofit foundation to be formed. And the sole purpose of this foundation is to support the Opioid Abatement Authority and our grant recipients with education and outreach for our potential grant recipients. And so really what the foundation does, and the foundation is now a fully developed independent organization under the state under the SEC. That the organization, their entire purpose is to provide education about appropriate uses of opioid abatement and opioid settlement funds for community-based strategies to fight the opioid addiction crisis. And so the foundation exists, it's up and running. At the meeting in June, the OAA board passed a motion that allowed me as executive director to negotiate a contract between the two organizations, between the authority and between the foundation, to delineate some roles and responsibilities and how the OAA would support the foundation, how the foundation will support the OAA. And essentially, foundation will now shoulder most of the responsibilities of providing education regarding opioid abatement and remediation strategies to our cities, counties, and state agencies, and to potential subrecipients. And the primary method that they seek to do that is by doing a large statewide annual conference next year. And so the foundation has developed a contract that it just approved with a firm called Eastern Associates. And Eastern Associates will be the event planning company that will organize this conference. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the conference in a moment. In order to support the foundation's effort in this regard, the OAA, as part of this agreement, would provide $100,000 in seed funding in the current fiscal year. And there is within the contract, there's specifications about how that funding can be used and about potential repayment to the OAA in the future, or investment of any profits that the foundation makes into future additional educational events. And the contract, or the MOU, also spells out certain kinds of in-kind services that the authority would provide to the foundation. So, for example, the foundation doesn't have any staff. So the OAA staff would do things like open the mail, monitor email, answer questions that come up, that sort of thing, at no additional cost. The foundation will use the OAA's postal address, and so we'll check the mail, we'll do that type of thing. If the foundation gets a check in the mail, then our staff will receive that and deposit it with the foundation's bookkeeping. So we can provide some basic in-kind support. And so this MOU has been drafted. I know that Mr. Schlesman was involved. He's reviewed it. Our secretary has had a chance to look at it, and Mr. Spencer is on both boards. He's on the board of the foundation and on the board of the authority. He's had a chance to review it as well. And so the authority's board, the OAA board gave authority to the chair of the finance committee to sign this MOU on behalf of the OAA. And so you'll see an item under new business in a moment that would give the chair of the finance committee the authority to sign this MOU, if that's the pleasure of the finance committee. Does that make sense? And so we can go to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit about the conference. There's been quite a bit of work done, pre-work done to prepare for this thing to go off as scheduled. So Eastern Associates is the professional events management firm that was selected after an RFP process by the Virginia Opioid Abatement Foundation. We have board members that have worked with the Eastern Associates in the past and have given them A+ rankings. They have helped us. Eastern Associates has helped the foundation develop a scope of services and has issued requests for proposals out to several potential venues, or basically convention style hotels, and have already received some very solid looking responses back. And we've been able to use that information to put together kind of a back of the napkin budget to make sure that it's all affordable. And they've even targeted some dates that this could occur, which would be in June of next year. We're looking at a conference that would be 2 to 3 days with multiple tracks. The budget that we have pulled together for the time being anticipates, and I think this is a very conservative number, 160 attendees that come from among cities and counties and potential subrecipients, and then 50 private sector attendees. These would be service providers like prescribers, firms that provide inpatient services, that type of thing. 25 vendors that would have exhibits and some additional funding in terms of sponsorships and cooperation from state agencies that would want to be present as well. And so if this conservative approach is accurate, if that's what we do, then the show should occur with revenues exceeding expenses. And so that's an update on where we are with the foundation and the conference. Again, under new business, in a moment, you'll be asked to vote on that MOU with the foundation to allow us for all of this to move forward. Mr. Chairman, that's all that I have, and I believe that the next item is going to be public comment.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions for Tony?
There is a question, and there's will OAA funds be approved to pay for the conference attendees' travel?
So.
That may be from a member of the public.
So the question is whether or not opioid settlement funds can be used for attendees to attend this conference, and the answer is absolutely yes, because 100% of the content is education on opioid abatement strategies. And really, again, the goal here is to give our potential recipients the education and the resources that they need to make the most use of their settlement funds and their OAA grants. So yes, this would absolutely be an approved use of opioid settlement funds.
It's the only question I see in the chat.
Yeah, I don't see any others as well. Any other questions from the committee? All right. This is a time on the agenda where the committee will hear any public comments from individuals who have joined us online. I think we've been having some of those questions all along. But for anyone who wishes to speak, please type your name into the chat function, and the staff will recognize you. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Do any of the members of the public wishing to make public comments want to be recognized?
Not seeing any hand raises or names showing up in the chat.
Nor am I. Okay. All right. So next we'll move on to new business. And at this point, I will turn the meeting over to Mr. Tony McDowell.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So as members of the board will recall, Mr. Jim Holland was serving as member of the board and treasurer. And as treasurer, he had been elected to serve as the chairman of the finance committee. Due to health reasons, he had to step down from his position. Delegate Sewell was elected by the board to be treasurer. But as of right now, we don't have a member of the finance committee who has been elected by the committee to serve as the chair. And so it would be appropriate to open up an election process for a member of the finance committee to be nominated for this position to be the chair of the finance committee. Traditionally, this has been the OAA secretary, but that's not required by our bylaws. It's just a practice that we've had in place. And so with that, I would, Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, I'd like to open up the opportunity for any member of the finance committee to nominate either themselves or another member to be the chair of the committee.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. I'm assuming I can make a nomination, Tony, at this moment.
Yes, sir, you may.
All right. I would like to keep with tradition and nominate my good friend, Delegate Sewell, who is currently the treasurer of the entire committee, to be the chair of the finance committee.
Okay, Delegate Sewell has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Mr. Chairman, I hear no other nominations, and so with that, we will open it up for a vote. All those in favor of electing Delegate Sewell to be the chair of the finance committee, please signal your approval by saying aye.
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 And I believe congratulations are in order to our new finance committee chair, Delegate Sewell.
Thank you so much, everybody, and I look forward to continuing to serve, just in a new capacity.
So let me help you here, Madam Chair, as the final item of business is on the next slide. Item 5.B is for the committee to consider authorization of that agreement that I described, the MOU between the authority and the foundation. And a draft motion would be to authorize the chair of the finance committee, which is Delegate Sewell, to sign the proposed MOU between the two organizations. And so I would ask whether there's a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second?
All right, the motion's been approved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. And then Does anyone have any other items of new business for the committee?
Hearing none, I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor of, and before you click hang up button, we're gonna immediately roll into the grants committee, and so anybody that is interested in remaining on for the grants committee, I would encourage you just to remain online. The webinar is just gonna, the meeting's just gonna continue, even though this particular part of it is going to adjourn. So all those in favor of adjourning finance committee, say aye.
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 Motion carries, and we will move directly into the grants committee.